There's a couple lyrics. All right, okay, good. Even in the car.
Okay, so anyway, we're video, but what you just go to how it is. Okay. Trying to keep my composure.
Nancy, you're in the middle of the camera. That camera's right on there. Come on, there you go.
Oh, this is lovely.
Do you know what the seating is? Is there a seating?
Yes. Yeah, right there.
Oh, it is.
Yes. It's right where you're walking. Yeah, I think so. No, it's unlocked. So nice. Are we all set? Yeah, for sure. Aw. How was your trip there?
Lisa came. Lisa with Dave.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good. That's what driver like to do. Oh, not yet. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Debbie, just well, Nancy put that in a lot. Very wonderful.
So when they show Bon Jovi behind the music, they show him on the Floyd show. That's it.
No, I know, just to start, right? Let me start.
I don't even know.
Nobody's coming.
Well, there's,
Nobody probably should have it over there. Let me ask if you can move it over there.
well, he's still doing something else.
I'll move it.
No, leave it.
Why, Debbie? I'll put it where people are coming in. What?
One second.
Hold on, wait one sec, I'll be right there. Yes, I have. Yeah, I have, okay, I'll be right there.
This is my brother Dave.
Do you remember who you were friends with? Gina and Adriana?
Remember when all the kids came over? You guys remember? Yeah, my dad remember all the kids and the little girl.
Yeah, over here. And know where to put it, and then you can look. Mom's over here. Joanne.
Grandma thing. My mother. She was.
Women, I think, handle it just different. They just do. This is how I remember it. I have videos of him on his birthday running and
Probably on his
falling
toes.
and falling into his deep pool. That's how I remember it. Wow, that's such a handsome picture.
But everybody. Didn't everybody?
This is a real beautiful picture. I remember that one.
Oh.
This is not Michael.
Mike.
Oh my God, I remember Michael. He was Elton John.
Yes.
I told you I remembered you.
That was a long time.
Oh yeah. This is how I remember David. I'm Barbara, Dave's wife. I remember Danny's
The
brother.
Canadian.
No, that's Dave Gallo.
Oh, you're Dave.
Pardine.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in,
Since you were Elton John. at Halloween. Hi.
4 years.
I said you brought some Florida with you?
I don't know, but I'm sweating. It's hot. Mom, can you see? On there. Yeah. Yeah, there's a glare.
I'm guessing that's who it is. I'm guessing. What, 15 years ago?
Dinner place.
But I'm like, good if the day goes on your sweater, because I'd be really nice. I said, who's with Dave? Sometimes they just don't. No. You know what? It's Lima's too. It's not just Pardine.
I know, right?
With your house history. How you doing? Hello. Very good. No, it's not cheap.
In her case, she's assisting at all memorials.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
were a blessing to me.
Yeah, you can kind of speak your own Stacy right there. Made it. If you liked it, I'd take it out.
And when you see that one over there, this actually could be how old are you? That looks like you. Yeah. Right, just read it. Those two are always loved. And they actually work with
Very good.
Hi, I was in Pardine. I've only seen you, right? Hi, how are you?
Good job. That was your right.
Congratulations. I know. That's what I'm going to take a big picture. Yeah.
How you doing?
What's going on? Good to see
I think we're all saying the same thing every time somebody says it.
I said to Mike, that's John, that how we this is not a nice
Yeah. Is that you over there? That one?
The little one?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave that to me.
I remember.
Like a couple of years ago. Hey, Uncle Joe. How are you?
Very good. I can't act You'll be on camera. Yeah. Really?
On a Saturday? I got a whole bunch on. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it for three. Oh, yeah, you're right. How are you? Remember that now. We're all playing here. Same old thing right there.
I could always see that coming from me. It's like so weird.
Shorts on there for a month. I saw her a lot.
You're dressed. So she puts her pants on. Put the pants on. You couldn't wear them. Couldn't put them on. So I get a second pair. They're too big. So I got this. That's why. It's on the market then. It's one way to do it. Yeah, it's a hell of a way to do it. Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, I don't even have a CD in my car.
Must be trying to prepare so you're like, you're running around.
right? If I'm not mistaken. But I said, I'm not sure.
Military doughboy.
And my brother Michael, and this is Pat, and we live across the street. Directly.
This is my life cake.
My sister-in-law, I got my brother is just like not going anywhere. Yeah. But anyway, just take a look. Here's his CDs. If you want to take a copy, you're welcome. Just more about it. This is his album collection. And my sister-in-law.
Sorry. How you doing? My wife Katie. Oh, hi. I think we met once upon a time at a birthday party. Way back in the day. Wow, thanks for coming. No, it's not craft as he would have wanted. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Oh man. Well, hopefully at a location. That's one of his favorite spots. Oh man. Some pretty cool pictures in there, right? Lots of views. I know.
I didn't know
You know, why we're looking and reading these things. Right? That's a
Test. Patty, can you hear me?
remember this night we were all here. How did we get here?
Peter, can you hear me? Hey everybody, your attention please. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, so you have time to get a drink if you would like. 5 minutes.
Danny, they have it all on their table.
Patty.
I'm lost. I can't believe it. Get out.
The racquetball.
Oh, but,
He's the trainer at the gym. Like racquetball.
oh my God. I haven't seen this in a long time.
Probably not.
I've been moving on a long time. I 2 years.
I work with
I was going to say.
It's hot. It's yogi. Yeah. I thought I was look at you. But I wasn't trained. I'm going to get full spending. We said, yeah, it's going to be cold. You can't make it.
Jumping out. Right? Where is she? She's not going to fly all the way here.
Hey, walking in front of the camera. That's all right.
Wire?
Just don't want your phone.
There's no wire. Maybe look though.
In about 5 minutes, so you have time to get a drink if you would like. 5 minutes. We're just waiting for a few more and then we'll get started. It's not here yet, but hopefully they will make it. So what I want to do to launch Dave's tribute, my wife said to wait a minute. So I want to start it off with lots of love for Dave. Hugs and kisses, that's what this is about. And when I call your name and introduce you, if you're by yourself, stand up, blow Dave a kiss. If you're with someone, hug that person for Dave. So I want to start off from Ohio, David's own Michelle. And we have a couple of really great neighbors. They've become good friends. Pat and Rocco are here. Debbie's always bragging about her bowling partners. Kay and Patty. Are you here? They got up with Dave. And really some of them became a really good friend. Started with Brian and Greg became a really close friend. Greg and Katie. Justin, come up a minute. Justin. Greg's just going to read a note from another really good friend of Brian's who became a great friend of Dave's, Alan Squattrito.
I wanted to start.
Hello, yes, here we go. I wanted to start by writing, I wish I could be here with you all today in celebration of Dave's life. I will be thinking of him today with all my heart, mind, and spirit. I grew up with the whole Pardine family, and I'm blessed to have done so. Dan and Debbie are like parents to me. Brian has been one of my best friends since the 2nd grade, and Matt and Dave have always been like older brothers to me. They would sometimes even beat me up so they could prove it. Dave was a giant. Before I got to know him personally, I kind of feared him. If any of you have ever seen him play ice hockey in high school, you would understand what's being read out loud to you right now. He gave the hardest hits on opposing players. It was scary, but super fun to watch. If there's a highlight reel of this anywhere, please share it with me. Anyway, when Dave graduated college, I got to know him on a more personal level. I realized he was more of a deep, wise, and gentle giant as opposed to someone who should be feared. He was very loving and lovable. I was thrilled to discover that we shared the same interests in football and in music. I would find myself talking to him at all odd hours of the night about music, and we would show each other different songs we've written or really enjoyed listening to, or something that influenced our own style. I remember him showing me heartfelt songs he wrote on guitar, and a few of his melodies are still stuck in my head today. One of his life's missions was to record some epic music with Brian, and I'm grateful that I got to play a role bridging his and Brian's music to be recorded professionally at Hit and Run Studios. Vibrating Universe's dual album was awesome. You can tell how creative, deep, and wise David was when listening to his words and his creative melodies. Brian, you also get a shout out here, as you know Dave couldn't have done it without you. You have one of the best singing voices I've ever heard, and I love how you guys worked in harmony with each other as brothers and musicians. That's a brother-to-brother relationship worth being jealous of. You will always have me as a brother and a best friend. I will cherish the memories I have with Dave throughout the rest of my life. I love you, Dave. You will continue to be loved and missed so much. Thank you for letting me be a part of this day. Love, Squattrito.
Test. All right. Okay. I have a couple of friends that I was going to introduce next, but they're not here yet. So, can you hear me now? No, it's just a little Test. Hello. That's better. Great friend, grew up with him. Stories that most people wouldn't believe. A lot of you will know him as the Pillsbury Doughboy, my good friend Peter Sant. There's only one Pete, believe me. Another really good friend who, boy, I enjoyed singing with this guy. We sang a lot of Beatles songs. I used to tell him he looked like Paul McCartney. Still does. Great friend Phil and Linda. Well, she said she'd bring me a box of tissues, and she did. She's been watching me since kindergarten, right through high school. A great friend, Patty and Steve. All right, now I'm going to need those tissues. A lot of people, have friends that automatically become uncle and aunt, even though they're not. You're blessed to have two such sets of friends. We went on our honeymoon. My suit jackets didn't make it. So I said to Debbie, see that guy over there? I think he's my size. I said, you think maybe I should ask him for a suit jacket because I can't get into dinner anywhere. So I went and introduced myself, and we spent the whole week together. Unbelievable friends, Fran and Nancy. Thanks, Patty. Oh, Michelle brought Ohio tissues. All right, Patty, I'll still give you that hug. Well, with Fran and Nancy came our David, and there's Stephen. They became very good friends. Those two guys were the easiest guys to pick up, whether we're playing pass out, whether we were playing charades, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, didn't matter. Those two guys slept. You picked them up, put them in the car, they never said a wink. Great friends. Stephen and Yvonne. And then we had Matthew, and along came Anthony. Well, Anthony and Dave had a special relationship. Nobody could eat more bacon than David and Anthony. Boy, did they have a ball together. Loved their same music, great friends, Anthony and Kate. So we had Brian. Debbie wanted a girl. I wanted a boy. So Nancy did us a favor and had a daughter for both of us. Brian and Catherine were like peas and carrots. Couldn't split those two up. Catherine and Dan. So I'm home one day, and my uncle comes up, rings the doorbell, says, I want you to meet somebody, my nephew. So I said, all right. So he says, this is Dave. I said, hi, Dave. He said, do you sing? I said, no, I can sing. He said, you play football? I can play football. You play cards? I can play cards. We spent the whole week together. And I accompanied him home to Canada. That's how close we became. And went to Canada, met his future wife, met his brother. We spent 3, 4, 5 times a year. They were down, we were up. They were in our wedding, we were in their wedding. We sang at their wedding, they sang at my wedding. Tremendous friends. Dave and Jan. So, David Daniel Pardine, short but very impactful life. Great son. Miss him. And I had moments, sure they'll continue. Love you, Dave. Okay. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. Listen to these stats. 13 children, 30 32 grandchildren, 47 great-grandchildren. Thanks to my brother Dave, we're going to have a great-great-grandchild in October. 2 people Dave loved. Grandma Pardine and Grandma Cecilio. Okay, I got through it. Okay, so, Debbie, you're next. Brian's next. Want to do Brian's song, or Dave's song first? Okay, so this is a song that Dave wrote, Brian and them sang. Pretty cool song. You'll have some words in front of you if you want to follow the words. What? Okay, so Brian?
No, not
We're not?
saying on me.
No. What are we doing, Debbie? I thought you were... Okay, let's play it. By the way, she changed the agenda on me.
Throughout our experience on Earth, we have all made countless choices. Choices that have defined who we are. Choices we defend from their birth to
Well, we're going to move on now to introduce some very special folks. All the way from Florida, all the way from Virginia, Cindy and Lily are here. Let's see, I've worked with this guy, played with this guy, continue to play with this guy. Special man. Cousin Rick. Married 57 years. Dave had a great Uncle Pete and a great Aunt Sharon. Everybody's favorite. Not only is she a great aunt, she's everyone's favorite aunt, Aunt Laura. I'm going to get through these guys. Now, I'm just going to introduce him the way he is. He's my partner. Gambling partner, dinner partner, lifetime partner, Joe and Doreen. David didn't have an older brother, but he did. He may have been at our house more than he was home. God, Dave loved this guy. We all do. Chris and Joanna. And obviously very close to Brian, but also became very close to David. Monica. Nick, come on. Okay, Nick's going to give the mic to Uncle Joe, who's going to read a note from Laura.
Okay, Laura couldn't be here today because she's on her way to Ohio, and her little daughter is going to be doing the dance competition, so she's involved. Anyway, this is addressed to Uncle Dan and Aunt Debbie. We are so sorry about David's passing. We just couldn't believe it. We send our love and prayers for peace and comfort in your hearts. We unfortunately will not be able to make this beautiful ceremony. Kelsey is in a dance competition in Ohio. We hope that they, with those that love David, will bring a smile to your faces. David was always so kind to me, never forgetting to ask how my kids were doing and what they were up to. He always had such a tenderness about him, and you knew his heart was pure and sincere. We will surely be missed, he will surely be missed, and hope that his soul is singing with happiness. We hope to see you all soon, and again wish we could have been there for such a wonderful celebration of David's life. Sending hugs, Laura. want to say that a very fond memory of David is when he would come up to me and say, "Hello, Uncle Joe," and give me the biggest hug and the bigger smile. Thank you.
By the way, Joe and Doreen just celebrated 50 years of their anniversary. And while I'm on that note, Dave and Jan, 50 years coming up. Not quite 50 years, 46 years. Dave always loved talking to Aunt Beth and Uncle Mike. Mike and Beth. Nothing compared to the talking he did with his cousin, Lisa. Well, Dave got to work with her. They had their moments, but he also loved working with her. Loved talking with her. Madeline and Dawn. Didn't see him often, but when he did, instant connection. Uncle Michael. "32 years. Man, we must be getting old. 32 years. Moved from Florida to Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh. Enjoying every minute of it. Dave always enjoyed talking about Uncle Matt and Aunt Lynn. And there was the baby. Hey, loved Uncle Jeff. Growing up, he didn't want to spend much time with me when I was little. We got a little bigger. He always wanted me around. Still does. My best man, friend, my brother Joe, and Sandy. I'm not going to say much about this, otherwise forget about it. Whenever Dave had to talk to someone seriously about decisions, what he should do, what he shouldn't do, what do you think? She was always there for him, Aunt Nancy. "45 years. Getting there. It's funny. I don't see his grandkids often. He's got a million of them. They come to the house, and the little one comes up to me and says, 'You look like Grandpa.' I said, 'No, Grandpa looks like me.'" Great younger brother, David and Barbara, are here. It wasn't a big connection early on, but that connection became stronger and stronger. And They love talking with Aunt Joanne and Uncle Rich. Are you ready, Mama? Are you up? She gets through this, it'll be a miracle. All right, come on up, Mama. Debbie, right?
All righty. Can you hear me? Okay. Again, I want to thank everybody that came. We love you all. David loved you all. And that being said, I have a little something to tell you. I have to read it because if I don't keep my focus, I might go in another direction. So you are all probably wondering, why is there a long shoelace tied around David's arm? Well, I have a powerful memory to share with all of you that will give you some insight into how spiritual, secure David was, rooted in his great faith in Jesus, which only grew stronger as he aged. Early in David's junior year of college, he was searching for answers to the big questions in life and desperately asked for a sign from God to give him strength during this tumultuous time in his life. Soon after this, as he was hanging out in our garage, he spotted a dry patch out at the end of our rain-covered driveway. As he approached the end of the driveway, leading up to the sidewalk, there sat a curled up brand new pair of shoelaces that just so happened to be there, exact size and style that he had been searching all over for his favorite Doc Marten boots that he loved so much. Now, the thing that makes this event so amazingly powerful, is that not only had he been actively searching for these shoelaces, but these ones in particular were extremely rare, and according to David, he had not remembered mentioning them to anyone. David saw this event as the ultimate sign that God was fully present in his life. It was his own personal miracle. He had asked everyone he could think of if one of them had placed these shoelaces at the end of the driveway for him to find. They all said they had not, and none of them even knew he had been looking for these shoelaces. This amazing occurrence was a major turning point in David's life, and it still amazes me to this day. Later that year, David called me from college and said he got out of bed and fell to the floor because his equilibrium was off. I told him to get to the school doctor as soon as he could. He was given an antibiotic for what they thought was water in the right ear. A few weeks went by, but he still couldn't hear. I told him to come home because he needed to see an ENT specialist. After testing, he was diagnosed with what the doctor said was a dead ear. Therefore, a hearing aid wouldn't be of much help at all. David went back to college. I was in disbelief, praying to God like I never did before to give him back his hearing. Sometime later, David asked me to send him his shoelaces because he wanted to put them under his pillowcase when he went to bed because of what they represented to him spiritually. I am not fully sure why I was struggling to decide if I wanted to send them to him, but maybe I was concerned that he may be let down if this did not help him. But as I contemplated this, suddenly the kitchen ceiling light burst and pieces fell all over the ground. That was all the incentive I needed. I needed to package up David's divine shoelaces and send them to him right away. I called David immediately and told him what had happened. And with complete confidence, he said, "I told you they were sent to me by God." Let me tell you, that was an experience I will never forget, as it was truly powerful. When David came home for spring break a little while later, we went to see an ear specialist in the same office where they had previously tested his hearing. And it seemed David was responding to sound in his supposed dead ear. David looked at me like a puppy dog, with his head tilted to the side, smiled and said, "I can hear." It turned out that he had regained 50% plus of his hearing back in his right ear. We walked out of the office with great joy as David exclaimed, "I can hear the birds." We hugged and thanked God. David never looked at, we hugged and thanked God. David never looked at getting a hearing aid, but with the knowledge of his brother Brian, they were able to produce an 18-song double album based on the poetry that David had written while in college. David was just about finished with the help of an artist to publish his poetry, so Brian and the rest of us as a family will see through his dream and preserve his artistic legacy. Well, I could go on forever speaking about David, but I will conclude with this message. That comes direct from my soul. David, I look forward to the time when we will unite in God's kingdom. Until that time, we know you will be well looked after by Jesus, the angels, and our beloved deceased family members. With that being said, I love you dearly, my beautiful son. Now let us remember David as we listen to his beautiful voice speaking words of wisdom just passing through.
May every sentient being in the universe travel their own unique path, each beginning with a different face as we enter our world. Some are floating adrift without direction. Even when we are not moving, in motion as we see. Some walk an entire lifetime over the finishing exact where they began. Some fall further down the path than they ever dreamed. Welcome to the silence. It's within what you will. Watch the times here and now. See go out and get your fill. Get your feel of you. On these things we are many faces. Some old and some are some we leave a piece of who we are. We gotta go, just passing through. Our final destination is not rewards. It is the love we create with the life we are given. We have all been gifted the opportunity to free our own spirit. We can align with the power that unlocks our own chains. We all get to where we are destined to be at the precise moment we choose to arrive. We can learn who we really are and reach is just and true, while we are all just passing through.
Am I on? Am I on? Hello. Well, as they make their entrance, I will introduce them. Debbie's Colwell banker partner, bowling mate, longtime friend. We don't get out often enough, but when we do, we always have a great time. Debbie and Ben. And of course, to outdo the Pardines, we have the Shotland brothers, who made their late entrance, but they're here from Philadelphia. We love them as brothers. Ben and Dan Shotland. Okay, so we have a few more parents that are going to read something from one of their children that could not make it. I'm going to call on Justin. Come on up. I'm going to have you pass the microphone over to Uncle Mike and Aunt Viv. Whichever one takes it, they read it. Not like you can do this. I know you can do this.
This is from my daughter, Dee. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with all of you. See, it's hard for me to put words on how I feel. I've always stayed here with such a sensitive and caring soul. I've always felt like we had a bond, and that bond was missing in my life. As hard as it is, that he is no longer with us. spirit is really pain free. They're giving you a sense of peace. I hope it does to each and every one of us. I'm always thinking of good baby. I love you.
Lucky I still have tissues left, Mike. Good God. Okay. Little brother, are you ready? Uncle Jeff, I want to say a few words.
My two sons, Jeffrey and Jimmy, unfortunately couldn't make this evening, and they are deeply sorry for that. Jimmy has a reading that he would like me to read. On May 7th, we lost a great, loving soul. A brother, a son, a friend, and an awesome older cousin. That's where I come. Growing up, Dave was a huge part of my life and continued to be up until his recent passing. He would often come over to our house in Montclair to watch sports, teach me the drums and Jeff the guitar, surprise us with candy and some of my favorite memories. Heading to the Chinese buffet near Willowbrook Mall, where I really learned how to feast. It was through these moments that we bonded to the point where I would copy everything they did. I started collecting football cards after Dave gave me a very small part of his collection, which turned out to be the biggest collection amongst my friends. I admired Dave's vinyl collection, to eventually start collecting my own vinyls that sit in my apartment today. And I started my own fantasy football league after Dave brought me into his, which we better continue as I can smell a championship coming my way. My most recent memory with David was this Christmas, when he showed Molly his fiancée, and I the extent of his vinyl collection. We must have spent a full hour perusing through thousands of classics and were both in awe. And although these collectibles were what I bonded over, the real collectible items were the memories we shared and the memories that I will hold forever. Love you, Dave. You will be greatly missed. I remember the times that Jimmy had spoken about, and that is when Dave would come up, and he would come to visit the boys, and it was just awesome. He would spoil them. He usually came unannounced, which was even more of more special, as he would tune his horn, and the boys would look up and go, "Is that Dave?" And he'd run down, and they'd run down to meet him. For me, it was pretty special too, as David and I had some one-on-one chats, usually sitting on my bench on the front porch. It was a time when I was able to talk to him about his future, and we talked sports, but ultimately it always led him to talk about his music and his songwriting. And I would always feel the passion and positive confidence in his words and in his voice. Fast forward a few years, and that passion for music, songwriting, and poetry started to come to fruition with the starting of Vibrating Universe. He and Brian, working so hard and so dedicated to bringing their label to market, was truly, truly inspiring to us all. Now, you know, we all know David wasn't exactly an extrovert, but nor was he an introvert. I think he was somewhere in the middle. However, someone who didn't know David, but was here a few years ago for the show he and Brian put on, and when I say here, I mean here. The way David moved around the stage and explained the next song and what it meant. Well, that person would have easily have thought of David to be extremely outgoing, confident, and extroverted. That's what passion will do for you. To my dear David, thank you for all the memories. I will hold on to them forever. I will always remember you as a humble person with a loving soul, a big smile, a warm hug. Rest in peace, my beautiful nephew. Your spirit will live with me forever.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Are you ready, Jan? You're not ready. Get ready. Jan's going to read some notes from her daughters, Brenda and Debbie. So close to David.
Joshua.
Okay, now this is going to be a little bit longer because Dan hit me with a curveball the other night. As well as my own, he asked me to read our daughters. Our oldest daughters, Brenda and Debbie, were totally distraught as to not be able to come down here. Thank you, Justin Trudeau. So they sent us some stuff down with us, and Dan has asked me to read it. This is from our oldest daughter, Brenda, and she was 16 months older than David. Uncle Dan and Aunt Deb, I cannot find the words to say or write to you that will fully express how much sadness I'm feeling at the loss of Dave. So instead, I will say thank you. Thank you for always making me feel like a true part of your family. Thank you for affording me all the time over the years to spend at your home and really create lasting memories of Dave and the entire Pardine gang. He truly was a gentle giant in my eyes, So smart and funny and truly caring. Being so far away, it's hard to really grasp that he's gone. I know I will feel it for real the next time we are all together. I love you all so much, that will never change, no matter the amount of time or distance that's between us. Love, Bren. And this is from our second daughter, Debbie, who is 2.5 years younger than David. To say that my family and I are still in shock is an understatement. David, Dave, or DP, as I like to refer him as, has been in my life since my birth. I cannot say that about too many people. Our families grew up together from a chance meeting between our fathers when they were young. That led to a lifelong, unique friendship between our families, the Gallows and the Pardines. The Pardine family is family to us and always will be. Throughout the course of the last few years, Dave, or DP, and I had some great personal and deep conversations. The discussions we had were very raw and truthful, promoting positivity and spirituality, expressing love and light. I am very thankful for him and for our discussions. I will cherish them forever. Within our talks, he expressed how grateful he was for his family and to be so close to his family. He spoke highly and often of his parents, Dan and Deb, his brothers Matt and Brian, and his nephews Justin and Nick. He loved each of you very much. Dave was an intellect with a high level of intelligence, good insight and guidance, and a great sense of humor. He was musically gifted with his poetic writings, a great card player, and an entrepreneur, must run in the family. He was a solid pillar of support, giving great advice and promoting positive optimism. A great memory of mine is Dave and Brian surprising my husband and I by singing at our wedding reception in 2009. It was a fantastic surprise to us and a wonderful memory that I will have forever. I will forever miss Dave's big laugh and his smile that lit up the room. He will be forever in my heart, and I will miss him dearly always. Love, Deb. This is what I was supposed to say. Last year, David asked me if he sent me his poetry, could I critique it? And I said, absolutely. So this is my response. David, I read your poetry the first time as soon as it arrived. I just read them through, letting your words wash over me. The second time, I studied them closer, getting a better understanding. And the third time, I imagined you reading them to me. David, all I can say is that you have the heart and soul of a poet. These are truly amazing. Your different techniques, short and clipped to show that you have finally made a definite decision, a la it's over, versus long and flowing, which seems to show that you want to never let the poem or the relationship to end, a la For My Love, are so encompassing that the reader is completely drawn in. David, these works are truly courageous and brave. Courageous in that you have looked yourself in the mirror, as Lou always says, and stripped away your emotions and looked inside of yourself. Brave in that you are letting the world see you in this vulnerable state. From start to finish, it truly shows your metamorphosis in how you started in such pain to how you have come out the other side and into a positive light. An awakening? David, I think that this can help a number of people with anxiety or depression to show how one, like them, can overcome and become a whole person. Thank you so much for allowing me to read these, Dave. It truly was an honor. To David, thank you for our many conversations over the years, but especially the many texts between you, Debbie, Brenda, and myself this past year. We will always remember your laugh and your huge smile, which are engraved on our hearts and minds. My last text to you was on May the 8th. It reads, "Oh, our poor sweet David, how can this be? Rest in peace, our heart, and live with the angels. We love you, David."
All right, Uncle Lou, you're up.
I was worried for you, Dad. I worried for myself, though. My wife says she doesn't like public speaking. She doesn't do it much. I think you know who's got the brains of that. I mean, my wife and my daughters. Anyway, I am pleased to be able to represent my wife Jan and the Gallo family to honor the life of David Pardine and to honor Danny and Debbie, Matthew and Brian, and the entire Pardine family. I feel that I should start at the beginning. In late July of 1970, 52 years ago, after a 2-month road trip and about 8,000 miles of travel across Canada and the United States, mostly by hitchhiking, believe it or not, I was staying at my Uncle Pete and Aunt Mary's house in Little Falls, New Jersey, at 85 Lower Notch Road. My Uncle Pete said, as Dan said, as he walked me down the street to 147 Lower Notch Road, Mrs. Pardine's house, that I want you to meet my nephew, Danny Pardine. Uncle Pete stated, you both have some rough edges, and I think that you'll get along just fine. What an understatement. I'm not sure about the rough edges, Dan, and this we did. Our friendship was immediate after just one day. Danny became my best friend outside of my family. My father, Ernie Gallo, 93 now, has stated that the Pardine family are part of the Gallo family. Debbie and wife Jan are also close as sisters. And when they are together, they go down the back deck for hours on end, drinking their wine, smoking their cigarettes, and engaging in their very personal conversation. Danny and I just watch them both and smile. My first recollection of David to be was just before he was born. Debbie was expecting and about ready to deliver right at that point. But Danny insisted that she finish one last game of euchre with Jan and I, and of course he said to Debbie, we have to win. Anyone here surprised? We then went to the hospital and waited with Dan for about an hour, and then departed for our 7-hour drive to go back home to Canada. We got a call later from Danny after we got home to advise us that Debbie had given birth to their first son, David. Sorry. Jan and I named our second daughter Debbie after Debbie Pardine. Both of our daughters, Brenda and Debbie, you heard from there, kept in touch with David, Matthew, and Brian, especially David, and felt that the Pardine boys were like brothers. David was a real thinker and had some deep thoughts on many issues. He was a very smart guy, and I would suspect that if tested, he would register a high IQ. He loved his music with brother Brian, and they both poured their heart and souls into their musical poetry. David's poetry was much too deep for me, and Jan understood it very well as she explained it. I let David know what she thought about his poetry and songwriting, along with brother Brian, with inspiration from his Aunt Nancy. Had real meaning to it. The title Vibrating Universe, The Birth of Truth, says a lot, and has a spiritual side to it. David was not very religious in an organized religion sense, but was spiritual in his mind and in his heart. He was a mentor for brother Brian, and at times would needle Brian in a nice way to get him to understand things better, or just to make a point. Maybe we would make a point sometimes. On the tennis courts, he would push Brian to run faster to get the tennis balls that he could not get to. I can still hear David saying, come on, Brian, run faster. Well, Brian was already running fast because he's a very good athlete and a good tennis player, as his brother Matthew. I still say Brian's the best in the group. And David was good too. David would turn to me and say, don't worry, Lou, that's what they call me. I have to push Brian to get the best out of him. He would say it with that little wry smile of his on his face. Only Danny and Debbie know how it feels to lose a son, but they can take comfort with family and friends here today and know that they did everything possible for David to assist him and to love him in his too short life. I believe that David was a realist, that was aware of what could possibly happen to him, but he just did the best that he could and probably did not want to worry his mother and father and 2 brothers. A few days after David's passing, I was listening to Paul McCartney's song, Here Today. I think many people know this song, which was a tribute to John Lennon when Lennon passed away in 1980. It is a beautiful little tune, not too well known. I could not get it out of my head when thinking of David. I have it on record in my basement, and I listen to it quite often. And what McCartney's doing in it, it's here today. If you were here today, what would you say? if you would hear, John, if you were here today, what would you say? And part of it goes, I felt like you were like a brother, and sometimes he says, one would say, well, I think we were worlds apart. It was kind of a neat little thing that went kind of both ways, but I couldn't get out of my head. Next morning, I was humming in the shower, tearing up a little bit, and then after I got dressed in my room, I turned on my TV to the old music station. The first song that they played, it's not this song, nobody ever played, was a Peter and Gordon song called World Without Love, which was their theme song. It became Danny and my favorite song to sing over time. Now, Paul McCartney was dating Peter and Gordon's sister. Sorry, Paul McCartney was dating Peter's sister. Peter at the time, believe it or not. So we actually wrote that song for them. It became a big hit. It was like David was saying to me, the McCartney's Here Today song is nice, but you know what I want to hear, Luke? I want World Without Love song by my father and by you. Sorry. I would be honored to sing it today for David and Debbie and Matthew and Brian and the Pardine family with my dear friend and brother, Dad. Rest in peace, David.
You're almost there. Unbelievable, friends, I tell you. You ready? Well, David's younger brother, boss, best friend, Matt.
So I had a 16-page speech that and I started printing it out, and I realized it was just going to take way too long to go through 16 pages. And with everybody in the room that I see here and everybody that loved Dave so much, there's just memories upon memories that I could go over, and we'd be here until tomorrow. So what I did was I just started and I cut out what I wrote first. And I'm going to read this. Let me start off by saying, Dave, I love you and I miss you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I know there are many others that wish they could be here with us. And as I said, I prepared quite a bit, but with limited time, I unfortunately can't touch on everything or everyone I would want to, so please understand. Dave is 2 years older. Dave is 2 years older than me, 7 years older than Brian. Being so close in age, Dave and I experienced most things together. Dave and I always played together and protected one another, which is important with all the moving we did when we were growing up. And throughout my life, I was always able to rely on Dave for anything, and he could do the same. Perfect example is Dave working with me and my father the past 15+ years. Our designer and another person no longer with the company, Dave saw and realized that he had to step in, and he did. It wasn't easy, it was hard. We had our battles, but he did everything he could to make our business what it is today, and to make everything easier on me and my father. now, Brian is filling this role, and Dave will be helping you along the way. He'll be on your shoulder. Dave had a lot of passions, music and poetry, which we all know about, and of course you've been hearing throughout today's tribute. His collectibles, starting with cards, when we had DMB, Dave, Matt, and Brian's cards in Florida. Then moved on to his older magazines, his Playboy magazines that he started his ventures with and really became familiar with eBay. And then from there, he started to collect the vinyls and the records. And as you can see from the pictures over there, it's amazing what he did. I mean, just amazing. Row after row, every album labeled, multiple, near min, this, I don't even know what it all means. But he did it all. He was a movie buff, loved to talk about movies, especially with Chris. Loved to eat organic foods nobody else would really want. Dave loves sports, football. So Dave loved football, especially fantasy football, as we all know. He was commissioner of the league. He'd have it no other way. Loved to argue with everybody when it came to fantasy and get into the mix, but he was fair with everyone, and it was great. Now, for this year coming up, the boys will take his place.
The mic is blocking his face.
He'll still be there. He loved playing tennis, especially with Luke. Loved playing hockey, playing beach volleyball, which I'm sure many of you probably can't really imagine Dave out there on the beach volleyball court, but he loved it, especially in high school and everything else. Dave had some very strange love affairs with, when he was collecting cards, with a couple players, Will Clark, Joe Sakic, and if anybody knows Dave, very passionate about everything, and Joe Sakic was his favorite player. He would say it over and over until his face was blue. He became a Quebec Nordique fan. He then became a Colorado Avalanche fan because of it. I mean, when I say passionate, that's kind of the way he lived his life. A couple quick stories, hockey related. Dave's senior year of high school, I was a sophomore, and we were both playing varsity. Our team made it to the playoffs, and we were playing the #1 seed. Who would beat us most nights. We got to an overtime shootout. It was 2-2. If we score, we win. Dave heads to the center ice, takes a few strides, and he heads off. Makes his way, peeks right, peeks left, peeks back right, pop it in. Everybody went nuts. It was Dave's moment. If I didn't tell the story, Dave would not forgive me. He would also like to let you know that someone making the speech did not make the shot. That's the part of the story that you had that I missed. So that's one. Second, during hockey practice, I was playing defense. Puck was thrown in the zone. I went to go get it. David was good fast. He didn't want hit. Coach starts screaming at him. Dave starts screaming back at the coach. Well, recently, 5,000 different times, Dave likes to always throw that out. out there they didn't want. It hit me because I was fragile. And I would break it. That was his theory on the whole thing. I would come back with you scared because I would crush you. And that was it. That's how it went every time. Dave would make that big loud capital laugh noise that he did when he would say it. I just bring it up over and over again. So, those are just two little stories with hockey with Dave. Love it. I'm going to miss him every morning. One in the kitchen. It's there. His picture is there. He got his Georgie berries there. Very hard. But I know he's happy and he's doing great. And I can only imagine when he left, he was greeted by both grandpas who brought him to go see God, Jesus, and then to the rest of the family. Miss you, Dave. Love you.
It was quite a hockey story. It's true. Matt was the star of the team. Couldn't put it in the net. Dave comes in. Bingo. Happiest person in the room? Matthew. Okay. I'm going to introduce my grandsons. Justin and Nicholas, Dave's pride and joy. Tell a little story about Nicholas, which I just found out about. Justin just graduated 8th grade. And he had his, whatever they call the gown, whatever he wears that day, on a hook in the bathroom. And Nicholas, in his favorite place, the bathroom, looks up and turns and sees the gown and said, I saw Uncle Dave. Said I saw his beard, his body. You're the lucky one, Nick. All right. Time to bring up Brian's soulmate. Well, these two. Upstairs and downstairs. Dave, Brian, Dave, Brian. Constant. They would talk about everything. You know, it goes back a long way. Brian was playing hockey, broke his arm. So we said, you know what, we're going to take him to an ugly pub, have some pizza. We got there, and that was our first night of probably 20 straight years of singing karaoke together. We were known as Dave and Bri. Bri was the lead, I was the backup. Loved being the backup. Bri would love to be the leader. But boy, was he good. And it's a funny story. Brian finally went out for American Idol. And him and his mother stood in line for hours and hours and hours to get a chance to sing. And You got in, and the way it works is they take 4 people, you step forward, you got 10 seconds to sing and impress them. So Brian, who's at that time was kind of a Bon Jovi sound-alike, he got up there, was doing a Bon Jovi song, and starts out very slow and mellow, and this and then you're out. Never got to really sing his song. The guy said, your voice is not loud enough. Brian blows speakers away. And the most interesting thing of that year, which was very upsetting, is the person in charge that year was John Bon Jovi. I said, Brian, if you would have made it, you would have blown them away. We sang for a lot of years, and Dave started coming with us to Nothing Pub. And we'd play our shuffleboard, we'd eat our beer, drink our beer, eat our wings. Dave would get up there, nimble, no problem, sing his Doors, love singing the Doors songs, sing with Brian. And finally, I had to retire. Dave took over. And they became tremendous, just tremendous. So Brian's going to do a song. Come on up.
All right, I'm going to start off my speech. Okay, so I will make this short and sweet so I can get through this the best I can. Gabe, I love you so much. All that I want. Although I want you to be here with us, I know you are now free of the physical burdens that you bravely faced head-on in the suffering world. Despite your burdens, you shine like a diamond while inhabiting this realm of skin, and I am forever grateful to God that you and all of us that call on the name of the Lord are eternally protected. Ever since I was made aware of that Bible verse, it has brought me great hope and continues to comfort me as it gives me the perspective I need to face the future head-on with no fear, full of hope and devoid of despair. I so look forward to the time when we will reunite in heaven and at the return of our Savior Jesus Christ. Until then, I will fulfill our mission to help aid this fallen world with your powerful words and our passionate music. I am confident that you will be with us all as we live out our mortal lives, experiencing the abundance of life through your loving family. Musically and artistically, I believe you will have a front row seat in complete comfort as God's plan for artistic expression is realized. I vow to fulfill our goal of spreading the message and providing comfort to others through our music. Thank you so much for mentoring and sharing your unique Thank you so much for mentoring and sharing your unique taste in music and poetry with me as I grew up. Along with Dad, you have undoubtedly laid the foundation for our musical competence. I believe our talents and gifts continue on to God's kingdom to be used for His glory and honor. I so look forward to teaming up again when we receive our new incorruptible bodies as God's original creation eventually returns to earth. Until then, I will carry you with me and acknowledge you in all that I do as we strive to complete our vision. I unconditionally love you forever. Okay. On behalf of Dave, Matt, and my parents, I want to thank all of you for attending Dave's tribute and for the love that you have for my brother. I'm going to close out this tribute the way David would want. Much of Dave's lyrics refer to the life yet to come, and this particular song is entirely fitting for this time. Let's remember Dave and be comforted by his poetry as I perform a rendition of our song, Another Race.
me a second.
Evergreens are blue and red. My union mine is almost dead. One last sleep beyond what show. The other side becomes my goal. Now I'm on my own, but I'm not alone. Gravity, reality is just a stepping stone. Top the clouds on which I run, the gate above the sun, to a life where truth is free. And I enter without fear. Now I'm on my own, but I'm not alone. Duality, reality, just a stepping stone. A life of flesh and bone, we reap what we have sown. Repeat till we atone, become the way, ascend from the unknown. Distant dream is now my home. Perfect love I've always known. Through the dawn of inner states, I have joined another race. A life of flesh and bone, we reap what we have sown. Repeat till we atone, become the way, ascend from the unknown. Now I'm on my own, but I'm not alone. Duality, reality is just a stepping stone.
There we go. Great job, Brian. They heard you loud and clear. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. So, I'm going to be bringing out the food. Bar is open. We're going to be playing their CD in the background, so anybody who would like to listen to their songs, they'll be playing. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I got everybody. Wow, what a turnout. Fantastic. Everybody came from so many far distances. We love you guys all. Thank you, enjoy your dinner, and let's mingle.
just a stepping stone. A life of flesh and bone. We reap what we have sown. Repeat till we atone. Become the way, ascend from the unknown.